Hello and welcome. My name is Eleanor Kima, and I am the Military Capabilities Manager, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this online intelligence briefing. Today, Rukmini Gupta, who is the Asia-Pacific Analyst on the Military Capabilities Desk, will present a session entitled Examining North Korea's Recent Military and Diplomatic Activities. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my introduction, but just before I hand over to Rukmini, I'd like to highlight that the information used to compile today's presentation has been drawn from a variety of Jane's content, but particularly the Jane's Military and Security Assessments Intelligence Center and also Jane's CBRN Intelligence Center. Now over to Rukmini.
Thank you, Eleanor. Although North Korea's missile and nuclear programs have been the focus of international attention, conventional capabilities are the primary threat from a South Korean perspective. While North Korea has sought a nuclear deterrent against the United States, it has never threatened the use of nuclear weapons against the South. So, conventional and strategic capabilities have interlinked yet distinct roles to play on the Korean peninsula. Therefore, any moves towards seeking a rapprochement with North Korea would also have to address the challenges posed by its conventional forces. And it is in this context that I provide you a brief overview of North Korea's military capabilities. Looking at the components of the land forces for the two Koreas, it is evident that as far as the number of active personnel, tanks, and artillery systems in service are concerned, North Korea has a quantitative advantage. However, this recognition of quantitative advantage often goes hand in hand with the K-1 and its variants form the largest part of the MBT inventory for the South, and the number of K-2s in service is also set to increase rapidly. The North Korean People's Army, the KPA, on the other hand, continues to field a large number of T-54s and T-55s from the 1960s. While 30% of the North's MBT inventory is indeed composed of these platforms, it is continuing modernizations of its armored forces through the production of more modern tanks and upgrading those already in service. Along the DMZ, the KPA has forward deployed 170mm self-propelled guns and 240mm multiple rocket launchers, and these pose a significant threat to the South's Seoul metropolitan area. Since 2016, the KPA has also introduced a 300mm MRL system, which has a range of over 100 kilometers. This is amongst the longest ranging such systems in the world. A comparable system in service with the South would be the Chunmoo MRLS, which has a shorter range of only about 80 kilometers. As far as the air forces of the two countries are concerned, North Korea does suffer from a significant quantitative and qualitative disadvantage. So whereas the F-16s are the largest component of the South's combat aircraft inventory, J-5s and J-6 make up at least a third of the North's 600-odd combat aircraft fleet. North Korea's inventory includes a wide variety of MiGs and up to 50 H-5 bombers, and upgrades have not been reported for these aircraft in recent years. So given that North Korea's combat inventory requires significant modernization, it is unlikely to engage in air offensives against the South. The disparity in air power does not imply that North Korean airspace is undefended. North Korea maintains one of the densest air defense networks in the world, and this graphic represents known surface-to-air missile sites. These cover the capital, Pyongyang, the areas around Yongbyon nuclear reactor, as well as the region along the DMZ. North Korean investment in the development and use of mobile long-range air defense systems is ongoing. In 2016, North Korea first reported the development of the KN-06. This is a fourth-generation surface-to-air missile system with a range of 100 to 150 kilometers. And such longer-range systems allow North Korea to deploy these out of range of South Korean and U.S. artillery rockets, reducing their vulnerability to counter battery fire. Rocket artillery is also difficult to address with missile defenses, both because of the low engagement altitudes and the potential volume of fire. So this is extremely pertinent in a scenario where South Korea or the United States undertake preemptive or decimatory strikes against North Korean installations. With this, I would like to hand over to Carl Dewey, our CBRN analyst, who will review North Korea's missile and nuclear capabilities.
Thank you, Rukmini. So as noted by many, we're in a period of great uncertainty with US-North Korean relations, with much riding on the next few days and weeks. Before Rukmini and I move on to the politics, it might be useful to have a brief recap of where we've come from. So regarding the nuclear capabilities, The key point is that in the last 2 years, North Korea has demonstrated a step change in its nuclear capabilities. Since 2016, North Korea has conducted 3 nuclear tests, including a new type of bomb in January 2016, widely presumed to be a boosted weapon, a standardized model in September 2016, and an apparent H-bomb in September 2017. To date, North Korea has released 2 sets of images regarding its nuclear designs. On the 9th of March 2016, North Korea released photographs of Kim Jong-un meeting the country's nuclear technicians at a KN-08 or Hwasong-13 intercontinental ballistic missile facility. The accompanying article said Kim was congratulating his nuclear weapons scientists for having developed a miniaturized nuclear warhead. The second set of images comes from September 2017, when North Korea released images of its reported H-bomb. Although these images have been released as propaganda, one audience includes external analysts who remain skeptical about North Korea's nuclear claims. As such, it's likely that these photos are a fair representation of what a real device might look like. So both examples are clearly models, but assuming they are relatively accurate, they suggest for the March 2016 spherical design on the left, this appears to be a simple implosion device with an estimated diameter of 50 to 60 centimeters. It probably weighs between 125 and 250 kilograms. The 12 external cables suggest the device has a 12-point primary lighting system. This lighting system is not as robust as the classic 32-point system and suggests a trade-off in North Korean terms between the weight of the warhead and the distance it can travel and the reliability. After these images, James was able to conclude with reasonable confidence that the payload on the KN-08 re-entry vehicle would be flight-worthy and survive re-entry, although this remains to be tested. Regarding the image of the thermonuclear device on the right, the model shown in September was of poorer quality than the March 2016 models and had fewer clues that allowed assessment of how it would behave in flight.
What we're going to do is look at some recent satellite imagery captured over various nuclear-related complexes in North Korea and identify what type of activity is taking place and how this plays into the overall picture. In 2018, we've noted activity at 3 nuclear-related sites on the peninsula at Yongbyon, Punggye-ri, and Taechon. There was no notable activity at the missile test sites at Sohae and Tonghae. At Sohae, the one notable action that took place was the North Koreans completed a new structure adjacent to the launch pad, which is assessed to be potentially related to the assembly of satellite vehicles to mount atop space launch vehicles. However, there hasn't been any activity at Tonghae over the past few years. It's largely in disrepair, and there haven't been any missile tests conducted there for some time. Here we can see an image from May of 2018. You can see the 5-megawatt reactor complex on the left, and that new structure on the right is assessed to be related in some fashion to potentially the cooling system for the 5-megawatt reactor. Here we've got the experimental light water reactor building seen in February 2018. Leading up to this image, there was a number of activity noted at this complex. We saw a number of personnel and vehicles arriving at both the western entrance and the northern entrance, which would be the part that's obscured by the shadow. And that led up to this image that we captured in February 2018, where you can see what appear to be emissions coming from the stack attached to the reactor complex. And this suggests there may be some level of operational testing ongoing, or they may be testing some systems in advance of a large-scale operational test program. So the key takeaways from the presentation: North Korea's military capabilities are geared towards asymmetric attacks, and its limited resources are being directed towards programs with the potential for a very limited comparative advantage. While the nuclear capabilities are not yet credible, Pyongyang is unwilling to forego its capabilities. And it's important to note that any effort to remove North Korean nuclear capabilities cannot necessarily remove the knowledge base that provided them with those capabilities in the first place. A history of nuclear and missile diplomacy within a wider culture of strategic planning likely includes escalation and de-escalation pathways. We do have significant obstacles remaining for meaningful dialogue, not least due to unclear expectations and signaling. There are various activity levels noted in the imagery at key nuclear-related sites in 2018, and the activities and imagery suggest that the DPRK is drawing down operations at Punggye-ri, but is continuing to conduct operations at Yongbyon for the time being.
We very much look forward to welcoming you to future online briefings, and our next online briefing, which is on Chinese, US, and global service competence, will be held on the 24th of May. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.